Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a seat. Have a seat. Happy Thursday, everybody. How you feeling today? Yes, I didn't realize we missed the memo that blue is apparently predominant color here. Welcome, everybody. We'd like to also welcome back to the show the host of the NSL on TSN and the Social's Mom Life Crisis, Kate McKenna is back.
So happy to be here.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Let's go, center part. Let's go. Parenting, that is where we're going to start on today's show. A mom wrote to the New York Times advice columnist asking, is it okay to let our teenage son hang out in his room with his boyfriend? She says, listen, pregnancy is not a concern. So she's fine with it. Her husband, however, thinks it's disrespectful for the boys to have sex under their noses. So Kate McKenna, would you allow your kids, gay, straight, otherwise, to be having sex under your roof?
Listen, we got one clap. My kids are 3 and 6, so we're a while from this. But for me, this is a bit of a head-heart divide because I pride myself on being progressive. So I would like to want to say yes, no problem. And yet this is a case where it is a because I said so, no. And no is a complete sentence. Right. And I don't know why. Like, I think maybe it just feels a bit icky to me. I think it's one thing to know that your child is having sex, another for them to be having sex under your roof. But for me, it's a no.
Okay, here's a question.
Thank you, ma'am.
If they want to do it.
One mother who's like, yes.
Okay, so if they want to do it, we were all teenagers once. We're gonna do it. So the question is, where are we okay with them doing it?
In my house when I'm not there.
Yeah, like the good old days. Yes. Don't you remember the good old days where your parents were like, we're going out for dinner? You'd be like, great. How long do you think you're going to be? Or we're going to the cottage this weekend. You want to come? No, I've got homework. And you call your partner, you go, oh, my parents are out of town for the weekend, so come over. What happened to the good old days of sneaking your partner through the back door? Like, I don't know. Listen, I say not under my roof. I don't care if you're having sex in a van down by the river. You're not having sex while I'm at home and awake and you're gonna pass me my teenager.
Why? I'm curious why.
Because I don't, listen, if I'm a parent, I know a lot of parents won't even have sex when their children are awake in the house. A lot of parents are like, no, or they're doing it very quietly. But I'm gonna let my teenage son walk past me with his girlfriend and close a door. I don't care what the sexual orientation is. And then start having at it. I'm sorry, I'm not that progressive and it's not for me. Wait till I leave the house.
Cynthia?
Well, okay, so I'm a sex educator and I think maybe people would assume that I'm completely like, yes, whatever anybody wants, but I actually am a little bit at odds. Like you, my son isn't as young, but it's not on the radar yet. And the thing is that a part of me feels like I want to be progressive, but the truth is that it's going to depend on so many factors. It's going to depend on what type of kid is my son growing up to be. And I think everyone should use this. Is your kid respectful? Is your kid, are they doing their own laundry? Are they, taking care of things? Can you tell that they are a trustworthy, responsible person? In which case, if they have a steady partner and you like that partner, and you've had discussions with the partner's parents, maybe there's a world in which you can be like, okay, if they're sleeping over, as long as I don't hear you, because you don't want to hear me.
The noise.
How loud is that
the
partner?
noise.
I'm just How loud?
And I think the thing is that, Mel, you and I were raised in a similar way where nobody talked about sex. And I obviously...
My parents still think I'm a virgin.
No, of course. And obviously, I don't want to raise my son in that environment where nobody talks about
Immaculate Conception. Sorry, Immaculate Conception. Sorry, yes.
But I will say that I think there's a huge difference between, not talking about it and having a kind of shame around it and having some rules and regulations and knowing that your house, you can still make those rules. And also allowing kids to be a little bit uncomfortable. Trying to kind of, not give all of the barriers, leave them all open. In some ways, they do have to sort of show that they're navigate, because that'll come up in regular life. You don't want them going into a hotel and being ridiculously loud necessarily. They have neighbors, so there's kinds of lines.
I like
to be
that.
drawn
You're
there.
basically saying there's house rules for all kinds of things.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, because I think maybe it sounds. Listen, my daughter's 11, so again, she's going to be mortified that I'm going to even talk about this on national television. So I'm sorry, Marqueza, this is the time you turn off the television, because I would like to think that I'm going to be very open and progressive. And why do I say that? Because I've been raising her with very open sex ed in my house since she was 18 months old. She she could give you a TED Talk on everything from the pill and the condom and, you know, emergency C-sections. And my daughter is really progressive in her education. And the studies show, World Health Organization has shown this, many studies have shown that when kids get sex ed and they're more informed about sex, they actually initiate sexual activity later and they do it more safely.
Yeah, that's what
so
happened with me.
I'd like to think.
That's what happened with me.
Yeah.
I got the sex talk at age 9.
I think when it comes to house rules, I think that because we're raising a decent human being, that's going to also extend to her sexual behavior. She's not going to be having a romp when I'm trying to like meditate.
Yeah.
So
But
I
you
think,
don't-
you know,
Would you be okay with it? Like, listen, it sounds like Marquesa knows more about sex than I do. Like, I'm not gonna lie. But would you be okay with her having sex in your home, even though she knows everything there is to know
While
about
you're
sex
at
in a
home.
really
I think while I'm at home,
positive
I think
way?
it's about respect. I don't mow the lawn at 6:30 because it's disrespectful to my neighbors. Just like I wouldn't have sex with my husband when she's there and have her hear it. That has to go both ways. And it becomes age, it becomes respect, all the things you've all said. So I would like to say she's 11. Talk to me in 3 or 4 or 5 years. I might have a different take. But I'd like to believe that I'm setting her up for success, to be respectful, period.
Yeah.
Sex
Yeah.
life and
Yeah.
otherwise.
Yeah.
You know what else is interesting though? Like, is sex ever pleasurable when your parents or your partner's parents can hear you? Like, I'm an adult and I still don't want to have sex my parents or in-laws
There are also
home.
people who don't care. There are people who don't mind other people being in the house. And you don't know that. Here's the deal. You just don't know until you're in the situation. My lovely cousin, her daughter's older now, but when she was 15, she had a boyfriend. And she gave her daughter all the information about sex. She gave her son condoms. She was very open. But when she met that first boyfriend that her daughter had, and she could see he was way more sexually advanced, it changed the whole situation. And it's like you don't know how you're going to feel about it until it's actually at your door. And her daughter were at odds with each other because she was saying, listen, Mom, my girlfriend's boyfriends are allowed to sleep over at their house. And my cousin was like, I don't care what happens at their house. You're not doing that here. So I think it just depends on the situation, and you don't know what you're going to do until it's there. Sneak in, like just go in the back. Wait till they're gone. Do us all a favor.
So, keeping with the home, are separate bathroom sinks essential to a happy marriage? A writer for the New York Post says 2 sinks can stop your relationship from actually going down the drain. So do we agree?
Well done, man.
I mean, written that way.
Yes. I would like to say that happily ever after begins with separate sinks.
Wow.
And listen, if you can swing it, this is not an option for everybody, but if you can swing a separate sink, if you can swing a separate closet, if you can swing separate bedrooms.
If you can swing.
If you can swing. Listen, there's things that, we get so enmeshed in our lives with our partners, and there's like certain little things that I like to keep for myself, and I don't want to see your spit in my sink. I don't want to see, I have a very special...
It's the little hairs. Oh, the shaving hairs. Oh,
I
so
like
happy
to
right
keep
now.
my mirror really clean, and there's always spit on the mirror. Here's the thing. I think if you can swing it, if you have a ritual that brings you peace of mind and calmness, and that equals separate sinks, I'm in good company. This was Michelle Obama and Barack Obama's key to their marriage, so if it works for them, it works for me. What about you guys?
I just love the simplicity of this headline, that this is the ultimate marriage saver, because if that were the case, there would be way more sinks sold and way fewer divorces.
Yeah.
Like, if that was it.
It's true.
I think for me, the solve would be, I'd go even further. I'd go separate bathrooms, or I'd go even like a semi-detached living situation.
Yeah.
I can see that.
You already know how, listen, growing up in my household, my dad had his own separate bathroom because it was closer to his closet. And with 3 women, he wouldn't have had a chance if we had to, separate sinks was not gonna save my dad. So I grew up with that and it was perfect. And now that I'm on my own, and I've been on my own for a while, I actually would go further than a separate sink. If you could stay at your house and I could stay at mine.
I like that. I think that makes sense.
That is actually the perfect situation for me at this point. It's like, don't even worry about the spit on the mirror. You're not even gonna see my bathroom. But yeah, that's for me.
What do you think? Relationship expert?
Oh, Kwame's been rapping us.
Oh,
I'm listening to Kwame. He is rapping us.
Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Do you have separate sinks? Yes. And this is why he's a
There you
very,
go.
Look at how happy he is.
happy man.
Someone wrote to the ethics columnist at the New York Times to ask, should I retire if my fellow federal employees are facing layoffs? They say they love their job, but wouldn't have to face any negative consequences from leaving. So would it be unethical not to retire in these circumstances?
I don't know about ethical or unethical. I'm thinking it depends on my situation, my personal financial situation. Am I taking care of an elderly parent? Do I have adult children who I need to help? What's my debt? Is my mortgage paid off? That's what's gonna come into play. Because if I'm financially set, I would go in and be like, you know what? I'm near retirement anyway. Give me the package. I already know I'm gonna book that cruise, the one that goes around the world for 2 months, and I'm gone. But it really comes down to what's happening in my situation. But I wouldn't want a younger person who's there going, well, you're old, so you should leave. It's like, you don't know what's happening in my house and my finances.
I totally agree with you, but let's just assume that you have everything paid off.
I'm
and you
gone.
actually, no. Sorry, so then it goes back
I need to jump on the
It goes back to that.
yeah.
That's where the ethical question comes into play, right? Like, if somebody is all paid off, at what age is it sort of, like, if this situation presents itself, I think that there is a kind of ethics piece to this.
I think there is, but if that's, there's the money part of it. There's not a guarantee that necessarily if you leave, that means those other jobs are going to get saved. If a company's going to cut, they're going to cut. I also think that a job is much more about money. We know that the older people get, I think people are forgetting that comes with age and wisdom and experience. And a job is sometimes, that's your purpose for a lot of people. If you really like your job, you're not just there because it's a paycheck. You're there because there's a socializing that happens. You feel like you're giving back to community. There's a reason to wake up in the morning. And so you don't want to take that away from someone if it's just because about money. I think
but you're
else,
giving it to somebody, in a way, again, if it was set up like this, if I'm in the situation where I'm at a certain age and I know that I've got my debts paid off, and again, this is a very privileged position, but we've known people actually in this company who've been presented with this, and they say, would you like to take a package? Maybe you're 3 or 4 years away from retirement anyway. And a lot of them have done that ethical choice for the very specific reason of, like, I know there are people coming up behind who are starting families, or at the beginning of their life, and I want to ensure that they get that opportunity. And I think I would definitely do the same thing.
You would? For that reason?
For that reason alone, yes. I mean, for many other reasons, actually, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
that cruise.
You're going to be on that cruise going around the world for 2 months. That's why.
Cruise.
I also know people who've done that, who've come back and they're like, I'll take the package and then I'll come back part-time.
Oh,
and
that's
come back and
interesting.
do a couple days a week. And that could be a
What do you
nice
think,
way, a nice
Kate?
little midway.
Yeah.
I think for me, what's interesting is that corporations are known for treating people like numbers. And so now all of a sudden, individuals are supposed to act with a heart. You know what I mean? Like, if we haven't been treated like a human being, why are we then supposed to keep other people in mind? Right? Like, and I do think, I think about how many Canadians, it's a tough time to afford life right now. And I think of how many Canadians in different industries might be in this position. And I do think the financial component here is worth noting because it is a different situation, as you pointed out, depending on your finances. And there was some interesting data out of TMU that said only 34% of the population in Canada believe they can afford to retire when they want. 19% have zero retirement savings, and 1 in 4 have less than $5,000 saved. So for some people, if it's 2 years more work, that's 2 years more work they want to work. That's money in the bank. So I think that's part of this combo too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, so let's move on to this next topic, which is funny. People are popping off at the way Tom Cruise eats popcorn. Now, this video of Tom giving it his all at the Mission Impossible Fallout premiere in London has gone viral. So what is going on here? He's shooting those kernels in that mouth? Wow. So do you have any weird... There you go, Tom. Snacking habits.
That is so weird. Am I right? Is that not weird?
It was aggressive.
It's aggressive.
He looks like he's punching himself in the mouth.
He does. Or it's kind of like an anxious reaction. My son does something like this. He's 12. He just turned 12. So he'll make it into like a kind of like, it's a little bit more of this as opposed to this. But eating popcorn is not a sport, is it?
I mean, I think it is to Tom Cruise. Like, doesn't that feel so Tom Cruise-y?
Yeah.
Like, the man is so intense. I don't know if you saw this. Chloe Wilde from E-Talk interviewed him recently on the red carpet, and she said to him, "What do you do on a day off, Tom?" And he's a daredevil, so he thinks for a minute and goes, "I climb a cliff and I jump off it." Like, that's who this man is. And remember the Oprah couch jump? Like, of course this is the way this man eats popcorn.
Right.
Okay, do you all eat popcorn a certain way?
Listen, I think we should stop being so judgmental because I'll tell you, popcorn, this savory treat is something that we do not eat like the way you eat it at the way you eat at a dinner table where you're sitting across from someone with a knife and fork. You're usually in a cinema, sitting in the dark, shoulder to shoulder, and then you just eat it the way you eat it. So we really don't know how people eat it.
How do you eat it?
I have to shout out my girlfriend Victoria Tonelli, who let me know that I was eating popcorn like an animal.
Why?
Because what I was doing a fist here, and before I finished chewing, I got the next fistful and I'm doing this. And it was a nice little...
Conveyor belt. Conveyor belt. Yeah.
And then one day I was eating it, and she just looked at me and she goes, easy. And I was like, oh yeah, I am eating it like it's my last supper. So I don't think we should judge him so harshly.
Do any of you have any funny food habits?
I don't have a funny food habit other than I'm a bit like you and eat like an animal. Like, and this is from childhood. My mom used to say to me, like, Kate, the food's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Because I would just be shoveling it in my mouth. So I'm a little bit of a Tom Cruise eater.
Gosh,
It's mess, it's quick.
Yeah. You just brought up a very touchy memory for me.
I'm sorry.
The opposite. You ate like that voluntarily, I presume?
Yeah,
like
by
this?
choice.
So I would eat so slowly as a child that my parents were like, oh my gosh, like she's still sitting here eating.
Why were you doing that?
I just was a slow eater, and so my parents started to do desperate things. They started to just turn the lights off, clean up the table, go to bed, and I sat there in the dark. And finally my dad was so frustrated, he took off his watch.
Oh no.
And he goes, it's old school, it had hands. Kids, ask your parents what that means. And then he would say, when this hand gets to this hand, you better be finished. And my dad's a scary man. And all of a sudden I turned into Kate McKinnon, like this. I eat fast to this day because I'm petrified of my dad's voice. But it's okay, I went to therapy, it's fine. But what I do eat is I can eat an entire jar of garlic dill pickles and then I drink the juice after.
This is a phenomenon.
Yes!
I've seen you do that.
Yes,
That
you
is
have.
Really,
And we're
really
sitting here judging Tom, and you're drinking pickles
It's a good point. It's a good
from
point.
the jar? Come on.
Any funny food?
No, I don't have any. Listen, all I know is that I am exactly like, I shouldn't be judging. I've realized that I do eat like a bear when it's any opportunity can be like an opportunity can present itself.
You're so classy. I can't.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God! Thank you. You've seen me backstage after we do food segments, and we're gonna have one today. If I'm not in that food segment, you can be sure I'm using my hands to take things off plates. Like I'm not above taking literally my hands
We're
and putting it in my face.
I love
I'm not proud of it.
I love that we've discovered that we're a panel of animals.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Tom, you're forgiven. Tom's off the hook. Fine. Listen, you don't need me to tell you, it's a great time to be Canadian. And Oklahoma City Thunder star. Oklahoma star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he made history yesterday. He is now only the second Canadian ever to receive the NBA's Most Valuable Player Award.
That's awesome.
Well, when he was talking about it, he tearfully thanked his wife, Haley, for making him the man that he is today. Take a look.
And then, the one and only Haley Summers. Thank you. Sorry, I'm so dramatic.
Okay, some of us love it. I see two guys in the back who are cringing just a little bit, but not gonna point you out, but you know who you are. What do you make of the speech?
Listen, the speech felt on brand for him. He is a man who is known to love the women in his life, including his wife and his mom, who maintains to this day that she is the better athlete in the family. And listen, she represented Antigua and Barbuda at the '92 Olympics in track. So he comes by his athletic talents. He comes by them naturally. But listen, this is a man that all Canadians should know. Everybody knows the first man to win NBA MVP for Canada, Steve Nash. Everyone should know Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's name. This is a guy who is proud to be Canadian. Still, many NBA players in the offseason stay in the big American markets to train. This guy comes back to Hamilton, Ontario to train with his high school friends and people in the area every single summer. He's known as the connector, so he really prides himself on getting the top basketball talent in Canada to represent our country at the national level. And as soon as he was named NBA MVP, what did he do? He bought all of his teammates Rolexes, and they were so excited. He's such a team player. I'm so happy for him.
No, listen, those
Wow.
are all wonderful things. I'm glad you pointed that out, but I'm gonna be a little selfish. I want to speak to my future husband right now. If when you talk about me, it's not that, I don't want it.
What do you
The way he's like, I can't right now. I'm so dramatic. I'm like, that's right, baby. Tell him how much you love me. I love that. I love that for his wife.
I love that there's an example that you could just throw a tape at him.
There it is.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah. You know what I love about this is, first of all, I just love seeing a top-tier athlete being this vulnerable and emotional. I think that's really powerful for him. I think it's powerful for everybody to see.
Yes.
Because you can be all things, right? Masculinity is many things,
That's
and
right.
it's that. So I love that for him. And also it reminds me that when you take a look at huge franchises, when we talk about the Raptors, for example, Masai Ujiri always said when he was putting together the team and when he came on as GM and president, he said, family first. Because when the players have their family close by, they are actually better players. They are better men, and they are better players. So there's a famous Raptors family room, and it's where the kids hang. It is where the wives and girlfriends are. There's going to be care there. There's going to be food there. And then this was a picture from Norman Powell when he was part of the team during the 2020 pandemic season. Remember, they all shipped off to Florida? So when all the players got to Florida to their hotel, they were going to be in a bubble. What did the team do? They set up every single player's room with pictures of their family. And they said, this is the way to get the guys through this really hard time. And the guys have all said on the team, this is what makes this team different. And it shows on the court, so we love it.
It matters.
Love it.
I know he said in that clip, he's like, I'm just so dramatic. And that may or may not be true. I don't know this guy. But I also feel like he's just tired.
No, what do you mean?
This man has just been doing this incredible basketball season. And he has, if you looked, there was a cutaway shot of his wife, and he has a child who's like a
Young baby.
Okay? And I don't know. The
He's
man
tired.
We've all been.
Is he tired or is she tired?
Oh, I bet you he's tired too. I bet you he's tired. And I just remember when Jason and I were in that beginning stages of like when Jaya was born, we would just look at each other and start crying. Because and I think we need to normalize that. The man is tired.
No, I love it.
Don't write yourself out as being
I love
dramatic.
it.
It's okay.
And listen, Mel, you brought up him being a man of many talents and how you love that, like a man can be many things. This man is a fashion icon.
Oh,
He's a
yeah.
Canadian who was stepped out at the Met Gala.
Oh.
So this is a man you should know his name for many reasons, both on the court and off.
It's almost like he could have been a model instead of a basketball player.
Oh my gosh. Andrea, is this what your future husband's going to also dress like?
I'll take it.
Yeah.
As long as he has his own bathroom.
That's right.
I'm good.
Right. It's all there.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.